I stand frozen in this Magnolia Grand Hotel ballroom in Charleston, South Carolina, my fingers trembling against the scratchy lace of my JCPenney dress. Noah's small hand clutches mine, his silent tears dripping steadily onto the polished marble floor. The crystal chandeliers above us sparkle with merciless brightness, casting cruel light on every guest who stares, some with pity, others with amused smirks. My sister Brianna, radiant in her designer wedding gown, lifts the microphone to her perfectly painted lips. A cruel smile plays on her face as her voice echoes through the sound system. Let's start the bidding for this single mom and her fatherless son at $0. That's all they're worth. The words strike like a physical blow. Laughter ripples through the room, sharp and cold. The clinking of champagne flutes becomes the cruel soundtrack to my humiliation. Just 3 weeks ago, when the invitation had landed in our mailbox, I felt a flicker of hope. That heavy cream envelope, elegantly handwritten, felt like an olive branch after years of being cast aside by my family. Look, Noah, I'd said, showing him the gold-embossed card. A real-life princess wedding. His eyes had lit up as he traced the lettering. Will there be cake? We spent a whole Saturday at the outlet mall, picking clothes we could just barely afford. Noah had practiced his bow tie in the mirror, beaming. I'd altered my dress myself, taking in the seams late at night after cafe shifts so it would fit just right. But the moment we walked into the hotel, the snubs began. Our table was hidden behind a towering floral arrangement, nowhere near the family seating. Our name cards were mysteriously missing. My mother, Joanne, hadn't even looked our way during the ceremony, though she'd hugged every other guest with theatrical warmth. Now, her voice rings through the room, slicing through my thoughts. You know how cafe workers are, she says, swirling her champagne glass. They'll take whatever scraps they can get. Noah tugs at my hand, his voice trembling. Mommy, why are they being mean? My throat tightens. 3 years ago, none of this would have happened. Robert Cooper, my dad, had built Cooper Realty from the ground up. He loved both his daughters equally until the day he died. The stroke was sudden, giving us no chance to say goodbye. After that, the distance started growing. First, it was forgotten birthdays, then skipped holidays. I kept visiting, kept trying, hoping the warmth would return. But now, watching Brianna gesture to the crowd like an auctioneer while my mother smirks, I know better. I turn toward the exit, but 2 hotel staff members step smoothly into our path. My sister's voice follows me, laced with mockery. Melanie, don't run off. We're just getting started. Blood pounds in my ears. Part of me wants to run, grab Noah and flee this nightmare. But another part, stronger, steadier, echoes with my father's voice. Stand tall, sweetheart. Please, Noah whispers, fingers tightening. Can we go home? Before I can answer, a voice slices through the awkward laughter. I'll offer $850,000 for them. The room falls silent. I turn, heart thudding. A composed, middle-aged man rises from a rear table. His suit is impeccable, his expression unreadable. But his eyes, they hold something I haven't seen in a long time. Respect, recognition, justice. Brianna's hand slips, and the mic screeches as it hits the floor. The man walks forward, calm, commanding, like Dad used to be. Franklin Pierce, he says, Robert Cooper's private attorney. Brianna's smile wavers. This is hardly the time for business, she says, waving him off. We're celebrating. On the contrary. Franklin pulls a leather portfolio from his briefcase. This is exactly the time, Mrs. Whitaker. My mother's grip tightens on her champagne flute. Behind her, Daniel Whitaker, Brianna's new husband, fidgets uncomfortably. Your father left a second will, Franklin says. It has now been legally validated. He opens the folder. The light catches the polished paper, reflecting years of secrets. My heart thunders. To my daughter, Melanie Ann Cooper, Franklin reads aloud. I leave controlling interest in Cooper Realty amounting to 92% of company shares. Noah tugs again. Mommy, what's happening? I squeeze his hand, speechless. Franklin keeps reading. Properties, bank accounts, investment portfolios. Each line is a bombshell. That's absurd, Brianna snaps. Dad would never. Shall I go over the unauthorized transfers made from corporate accounts in your father's final months? Franklin replies coolly. My mother slumps slightly in her seat, her carefully styled hair starting to wilt. The illusion is unraveling, and this is only the beginning. Grief used to feel like a fog, but now it crumbles around the edges. Franklin's steady gaze sweeps across the dimming ballroom. I've watched and documented everything, he says calmly. the systematic exclusion of Melanie from business decisions, the manipulation of company records, the deliberate effort to isolate her from family events. Each word strikes like lightning, illuminating old memories in an entirely new light. The forgotten birthday cards, the Christmas invitations that never arrived, the family dinners rescheduled at the last minute. I thought it was grief, but it was calculated. "This is my wedding," Brianna snaps, her voice cracking like a whip. But the power behind her shriek vanishes as Daniel's parents rise from their seats, their faces tight with quiet disapproval. Other guests begin leaving too, murmuring soft excuses as silk dresses rustle and polished shoes shuffle across the marble floor. Mr. Whitaker places a firm hand on Daniel's shoulder. With a single word, they move off together, heads bent in serious conversation. Even the wedding band falters, letting the music trail off into uncomfortable silence. Only the clinking of half-finished champagne glasses remains. My mother sits still at the head table, staring at her manicured hands. The diamonds on her fingers sparkle like accusations. "You don't understand," she whispers. "After Robert died, we had to protect the company." "By stealing from your own daughter?" I hear myself ask, my voice unexpectedly calm. "By teaching my son that his family sees him as worthless?" Franklin steps forward again, a second leather portfolio under his arm. "This one is worn, its edges soft from time. Your father wanted you to have this when the time was right." He places it in my hands. It's heavier than I expected, like a promise finally kept. Noah leans into my side. I feel it in him too, the shift, his small shoulders squaring with a new sense of dignity. "Mrs. Cooper," Franklin says, his voice softer now, "perhaps we should continue this conversation in private." I scan the room one last time, the disheveled wedding party, the toppling floral arrangements, the cake too perfect, too fake, just like the harmony they tried to force all these years. "No," I say, sliding the portfolio under my arm. "I think everything that needed to be said has been said. Come on, Noah." We walk toward the exit. Our footsteps click steady against the ballroom floor. Franklin follows at a respectful distance. His presence feels like a wall of strength behind me. A shield. Beneath the golden glow of the chandeliers, I feel Dad again, not as grief, but as legacy. And when I look down at Noah, his back straight, his chin lifted, I see the same quiet fire. The ballroom doors close behind us with a soft but final click. It's nearly 3 a.m. by the time I return home. Noah sleeps curled on our threadbare couch, beneath the quilt my grandmother stitched decades ago. His breathing is slow, even, peaceful. I sit at our worn kitchen table. The leather portfolio rests in front of me, still unopened, heavy with truth. "Your father was meticulous in his planning," Franklin says gently, settling into the wooden chair opposite me, the only piece of furniture my mother allowed me to take when I left. His tone is soft, careful not to wake Noah. He knew what was happening, long before the stroke. The words chill me. He knew? I reach out, fingers grazing the edge of the table, the same corner where Noah once scratched it during his first attempt at homework. "He knew everything," Franklin nods. "Charles Cooper wasn't anyone's fool. He saw how they treated you, and Caleb. But he had to be sure." I wrap my arms around myself, memories rushing in Dad watching me from across Sunday dinners, his expression unreadable. The times I turned down his help, choosing to work double shifts instead, the pride in his eyes when I enrolled in night school. Franklin places a small USB drive in front of me. It looks ordinary, but his expression tells me it's not. "He left this for you. Said you'd know when it was time to watch it." My laptop hums to life. The screen fills with my father's face. Alive, whole, bright-eyed, and sharp. "Hello, sweetheart." I gasp, my hand flying to my mouth. "If you're seeing this," he says, "then Franklin has determined you're ready. And more importantly, you've proven you're ready." He leans toward the camera, the familiar laugh lines crinkling at the corners of his eyes. "I know the past few years haven't been easy. Watching you struggle when I could have helped, it tore me up inside. But I needed to be sure not just that you could survive, Melanie. I needed to know you could lead." He lifts a folder, the same one Franklin handed me earlier. "What I'm about to tell you will change everything. The documents you have transfer 92% ownership of Cooper Realty into your name effective immediately. Along with that comes control of multiple properties, investment accounts, and the family foundation. The numbers that follow blur in my mind, but the scale is undeniable. Millions. More than I could make in 100 lifetimes of cafe work. There's a separate trust," he says, "just for Caleb. No one can touch it, not even you. And my private collection, the art, the memorabilia, it's all yours. You understood their meaning better than anyone. Tears fall freely now, splashing onto the keyboard. I remember the quiet Sunday afternoons in his study, listening to his stories, the weight behind every piece, the history, the purpose. You're not alone in this, sweetheart. Franklin will guide you, my father had said in the video, his voice calm and full of trust. The senior executives, the ones who stayed true to our vision, they're ready to support you. And there are others, old friends who kept their distance because of Joanne's influence. They'll come forward now. He pauses, removes his glasses, and wipes them with a handkerchief. A small gesture, but one so achingly familiar that it tightens my chest. One last thing. His eyes lock with the camera, and I feel it, that deep, fatherly gaze, heavy with love and warning. Daniel's mother, Margaret Whitaker, has been gathering information about Sabrina's pre-wedding manipulations. She'll be in touch soon. Listen to her. But remember, this isn't about revenge. It's about restoration. The video ends frozen on his kind face. The silence that follows is full of presence. Behind me, Noah stirs on the couch. "Mommy, are you crying?" I cross the room, kneel beside him, and brush back his curls. All the pain of the past 3 years, the isolation, the doubt, the struggle surges up like a wave. But underneath it all is something else. Resolve. "Happy tears, baby," I whisper, tucking the quilt around his small shoulders. "We're going to be okay now." He smiles faintly, already fading back into sleep. Above us, through the small apartment window, I catch the first blush of dawn bleeding into the Minneapolis skyline, the same one my father once saw every morning from the top floor of Cooper Tower. Tomorrow, I'll see it too. Franklin clears his throat gently. When I turn, he's holding out a business card. On the back is a phone number, handwritten in my father's unmistakable script. "Margaret Whitaker's private line," Franklin explains. "Whenever you're ready." I take the card, letting its weight settle in my palm. Not just a number, a new beginning, a legacy passed down not just of money or power, but of principle. "I'm ready now," I say. The next morning, the elevator opens on the 20th floor of Cooper Realty. My hand traces the cool brass handrail. I remember Dad pretending to shine it every morning with his sleeve, humming Frank Sinatra under his breath. At the security desk, Tom, same uniform, same face, looks up. "Miss Melanie?" His voice cracks with emotion. "Welcome home." Sunlight floods the glass atrium, casting long shadows over rows of cubicles. Heads turn. Some faces are familiar from long-ago company barbecues. Others are strangers. Franklin walks beside me, steady as ever, shielding me from the murmurs. Then I hear it. "Joanne, I can't talk now. She's here." A woman in a power suit, the same one who sat at my mother's side last night, nearly trips when she sees me. Her face drains of color. My mother's closest friend on the board. One of the many who stayed silent while they bled this company dry. Inside Dad's office, my office now, everything remains untouched. The leather chairs, the brass compass on the desk, his coffee mug with the cartoon fishing lures still sitting on the credenza. "They didn't dare change anything," Franklin says, closing the door. "Your mother claimed it was in his memory. In truth, it was just for appearances." He sets a thick file on the desk. "The audit team is ready when you are. The PR statement is also prepped, pending your review." I sit in Dad's chair. The leather creaks as I lean forward, running my fingers across the desk I once sat at as a child, scribbling my name on mock contracts. "A leader's signature should always be legible," Dad used to say. "It shows respect." I pick up his Mont Blanc pen. "First," I say, "show me everything they tried to hide. Every shell company, every transfer, every lie." 3 hours later, my mind is spinning with numbers, asset records, and legal terms. But one thing is clear. They tried to erase me. Joanne and Sabrina orchestrated a clean, pretty dismantling of my father's legacy while maintaining their spotless image. They even tried to sell the affordable housing division, Franklin says, showing me a line buried in a hidden contract, his pride and joy. "Not anymore," I say, signing the audit authorization. "Call the team. Full forensic audit. Starting now. Freeze all non-essential expenses." A knock at the door. Linda from HR peeks in. "Sorry to interrupt, Miss Cooper, but there's a situation downstairs. It's your sister." I rise, smooth my blazer. "Is she alone?" "No, ma'am. She brought her attorney, 3 of them." "Perfect." I pick up Dad's old compass, feel the familiar weight in my palm. Have security bring them to the main conference room, and Linda makes sure everyone here knows their jobs are safe. The only people who need to worry are the ones who helped cover up the theft. The compass needle swings north, just like Dad taught me. My phone buzzes again, this time from Mrs. Rodriguez, Noah's teacher. A video clip pops up. Noah, on the playground, laughing, surrounded by kids asking questions. Is your grandpa really the boss of a big company? Then a message from Noah. Can we still go to the park after school, the one with the crooked slide? Tears fill my eyes. I reply, you bet, buddy. Some things will never change. Franklin appears in the doorway. The press is gathering. They'll want a statement. I slip Dad's compass into my pocket. It settles against my hip like armor. Let's give them one, I say, reaching for the phone. But first I need to make a call. I pick up my father's desk phone. It's heavier than I remember. I dial. Martinez Construction? This is Melanie Cooper. We need to talk about rebuilding. They've been our partners in affordable housing for over 20 years until Joanne cut them loose. I grip the phone tighter. Mr. Martinez, this is Melanie Cooper. I think we have some catching up to do. The buzz of power tools hums faintly behind his voice as he answers. Charles Cooper's girl? Well, I'll be damned. Welcome back to the family business, kid. I smile, glancing at my reflection in the window. And for just a moment, I see Dad there in my eyes, in my posture. Family business, I whisper to myself. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. 6 months pass, melt away like snow on a spring sidewalk. Sunlight spills across the gleaming floors of Cooper Realty as I adjust the position of my father's restored mahogany desk. His carved initials still gleam in the corner etched 30 years ago, back when this was all just a dream. They're here, Miss Cooper. My assistant Patricia's voice carries through the intercom, tinged with concern. Send them in, I reply calmly. I smooth my pencil skirt and settle into the leather chair that once held my father's strength. Joanne enters first, her Chanel suit loose in places it once hugged. Sabrina follows, wedding ring gone. Earrings, too. Sold, maybe. Legal bills don't pay themselves. Franklin closes the door behind them, taking his usual place near the window. Please have a seat. I motion to the simple wooden visitor chairs, the same ones Dad kept in his office to stay humble. Melanie, darling, Joanne's voice trembles with feigned sweetness. We've missed you so much. Have you? I ask, voice soft as silk. I wondered about that, especially during Caleb's last birthdays. Sabrina shifts. Her manicure is chipped, neglected. We were confused, she says, voice cracking. Daddy kept so many secrets. Charles Cooper kept records, Franklin interrupts, calm and cool, meticulous ones. I open the leather portfolio and begin laying out paper after paper. Bank transfers, hidden stock distributions, surveillance from private investigators. They thought these documents were long gone. The day before his stroke, I begin, Dad changed his routine, skipped his regular cafe. Instead, he stopped by Lakeside Cafe. Joanne's hands clutch her purse. What are you implying? He saw me, carrying trays, managing staff, solving problems, building something from nothing, just like he did. My voice remains steady, even as my pulse thuds in my ears. You don't know what it was like being married to your father, Joanne snaps, composure slipping. The endless lessons, the tests, the expectations. You were always his favorite, Sabrina spits, red rising in her face. Perfect Melanie. So much like Daddy. This isn't about favorites. Even I'm surprised by the quiet strength in my reply. It's about choices. I pause. Every time you excluded Caleb. Every time you whispered about his father. Every time you chose cruelty over kindness. The silence that follows feels thick, heavy. Outside the office window, Minneapolis hums along, unaware of the reckoning unraveling in this room. What do you want? Joanne finally asks. Money? Public apology? Our humiliation? I want therapy, I say. I pull out another folder and lay it gently on the desk. Family counseling, twice a month. Regular visits with Caleb supervised at first. He deserves to know his family, even the imperfect parts. Sabrina blinks. You'd still let us see him after everything? This isn't about punishment. I hear my father's voice now, his values flowing through me. It's about healing. But there are conditions. I outline each one with clinical precision. Financial support only if therapy is attended consistently. Full transparency in all financial records. No positions at Cooper Realty. Potential roles later, if trust is earned back. Each point falls into the space between us, like a dropped stone sending ripples through the air. Why? Joanne whispers. Why offer us anything? I trace my father's initials carved into the desk's edge. Because 30 years ago, a banker laughed at Charles Cooper. Called him worthless. I look up. He proved that man wrong not through revenge, but by building something real. That's the legacy I'm choosing. Franklin clears his throat, a flicker of pride in his eyes. Now I understand why your father trusted you with this. You have 24 hours to consider, I say, rising. Choose wisely. They stand slowly, uncertainly, like fawns on shaky legs. At the door, Sabrina hesitates. Her voice is softer now. The wedding, I shouldn't have, I know, I reply, and the words come easier than I thought. That's why we're here. After they leave, Franklin steps forward. Charles would be proud. Would he? I sink into the chair, suddenly tired. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being naive. He didn't build this company on naivete, Franklin replies. He built it on second chances and boundaries. He taps the leather folder gently, just like you're doing now. Through the glass, I watch Joanne and Sabrina cross the parking lot, small and uncertain in the morning light. The choice is in their hands now. Pride or healing, isolation or family. A moment later, my phone buzzes. A text from Caleb's teacher about the upcoming science fair. Because life goes on, even on days that reshape everything. I smile, remembering one of Dad's favorite sayings. Business is simple, build something worthwhile, treat people right, and always leave room for grace. And today, sitting here in this office, drenched in sunlight, I finally understand what he meant. Winter arrives. Snowflakes twirl past the soaring windows of Cooper Realty's lobby, now transformed into a winter wonderland of garlands, glowing lights, and laughter. Children squeal with delight as Caleb leads a group of them toward the towering Christmas tree. Each one clutches a carefully wrapped present. This one's for Tommy, Caleb announces, checking the name tag with utmost seriousness. A boy his age steps forward, eyes wide as Caleb hands him the gift. My throat tightens as I watch my son moving through this space like he's always belonged. Because he does. Because we both do. 3 years ago, Caleb was the only child at family gatherings isolated by wealth, status, and whispered judgment. Now he moves effortlessly among these children of single parents, his smile bright, his laugh easy. He has your heart, Franklin says gently, stepping beside me, and Charles's spirit of service. Across the lobby, I see Joanne standing behind the refreshment table, her designer outfits replaced with a simple gray sweater and slacks. She pours hot chocolate with slow, deliberate care, asking for the names of each parent who steps forward. Therapy hasn't erased her edges, but it's softened them. The brittleness still surfaces when she's tired, but something inside her has shifted. She's learning. Sabrina arrives late, snow dusting her dark coat, her shoulders drawn. She hesitates in the doorway, uncertainty flickering across her face. Aunt Sabrina, Caleb calls, waving with the boundless warmth only children can give. Come help us with the presents! Her lips part, startled, then curve slowly into a smile. I see it flicker across her face, pain, regret, but also something else, hope. And then she moves toward him, not for appearances, not for show, for real. Their interaction is shy, tentative, but genuine. A small commotion breaks near the Christmas tree. Caleb kneels beside a box of ornaments, holding up a faded photograph. Mom, he calls across the room, I found a picture. Is this Grandpa? Conversations stop. The parents nearby turn quiet. Joanne's hand trembles as she sets the picture down. Sabrina freezes. I walk over and kneel beside Caleb. The photograph is simple Dad, sleeves rolled up, blueprints splayed across his desk. He's pointing at something, eyes lit up with that unmistakable energy. Teaching. Just as I remember him. Was he a good person? Caleb asks softly. The room holds its breath. I touch the photo's edge, memories crashing down like gentle waves, the sound of his voice, the warmth of his presence, the steadiness of his belief in me. He was the best, I say, my voice calm and warm. And he's still watching over us. Caleb studies it carefully. He looks happy, like he's teaching something really important. He was always teaching, comes another voice. We turn to see Joanne, closer now, even when we didn't realize we were learning. A small girl nearby tugs at my sleeve. Can we put it on the tree, next to my daddy's picture? I glance up at the tree, really look, and notice the other photos tucked among the branches. Faces smiling from the past and present. Fathers and mothers, aunts and grandparents. That's a wonderful idea. I help Caleb and the girl fasten Dad's photo beside hers. Other children follow, adding their own. In moments, the tree becomes more than a decoration. It becomes a living memorial, a tapestry of remembrance and connection. As the event winds down, Franklin joins me by the window. Outside, snow continues falling, softening every rooftop and traffic light. Charles would be proud of all of you, he says. The foundations work with single-parent families. Cooper Realty's new affordable housing plans. You've taken his vision farther than he ever dreamed. I watch Caleb helping a younger child zip up their coat. Sabrina holds the door open for a mother juggling two toddlers. Joanne exchanges warm hugs with the last departing guests, promising coffee dates and future meetups. We're learning, I say, all of us. Later, I return to my office. The old leather portfolio still sits on my desk, opened where I left it. My father's handwriting fills the margins notes in blue ink from long-forgotten meetings, ideas for projects we never got to finish. In the window's reflection, I catch my own profile. The same determined jaw, the same steady eyes. The snow outside falls thicker now, blanketing the city in silence and possibility. I rest my hand on the worn leather, feeling the weight of his wisdom pressed into every page. Thank you, Dad, I whisper. I understand now. His legacy wasn't just in the property deeds or the bank accounts. It lives in Caleb's instinct to help others, in Joanne's quiet effort to grow, in Sabrina's tentative steps toward reconnection. It lives in every home we help build, in every parent who dares to begin again, in every child who finds belonging where there was once silence. Standing here in the stillness, watching the city transform through the falling snow, I finally understand what my father always knew. True wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the lives we touch and the love we leave behind.